Have you ever asked yourself why so many intelligent, successful, emotionally evolved women seem to skip right past younger guys and gravitate toward older men? Is it about wealth? Status? A daddy complex? Not quite, but there's something deeper at play. A psychological pull rooted in biology, experience, and emotional safety, and today, we're peeling back the surface to reveal the real reason why women are magnetically drawn to older men. Hi everyone, welcome back to Dark Psychology. I'm Amelia, and if you're new here, this is where we dive beneath the surface of attraction and explore the raw, unfiltered truths about human behavior. Today's topic: why older men? Why does just a few years, or sometimes a decade, make such a powerful difference? Let's break it down with psychology, science, and real human experience. Reason number 1, he knows what he wants. Let's start with what might seem simple, but is actually rare and transformative. Older men know what they want. Now imagine you are a woman dating in today's chaotic world. You meet guy after guy who's still figuring things out, chasing dopamine highs, ghosting one day and love bombing the next. It's not exciting. It's exhausting. Then, she meets someone different. A man who enters a room without seeking attention, but effortlessly commands it. He doesn't chase. He chooses. He's not trying to impress. He's already lived through the highs and lows. He knows what works. What doesn't? That clarity. That grounded, steady presence, it's magnetic. Let's be fair, not every younger guy is lost. Some men at 25 are more focused than men at 35. But let's talk averages. Statistically and emotionally, depth often comes with lived experience. Older men have had breakups that taught them emotional intelligence. They've worked jobs that built discipline. They've failed, learned, healed, and now they live with intention instead of chasing validation. And that makes women feel something they rarely get in today's dating world: safe, chosen, valued. Because here's the real truth: women aren't just attracted to how a man looks. They're drawn to how a man makes them feel. When a woman senses you're not confused, that you know what kind of relationship you want, that you've got boundaries, purpose, and direction, she doesn't need to play games or second-guess your intentions. She can relax into her feminine energy, and that's when real chemistry begins. Not the fleeting spark, but the kind of fire that builds and lasts. Too often, young men chase beauty, not depth. They build connections on looks and novelty, but when emotions get tested, the entire foundation crumbles. Older men? They've already been through that. They're not chasing what looks good, but they're choosing what feels right, and for a woman who's emotionally ready, that changes everything. And we're just getting started. In the next segment, we'll dive into reason number 2, something even more important than clarity or confidence: emotional maturity, the difference between being a partner or a project. Stay with me. Point 2 words that might sound simple: stability and security, but to a woman seeking emotional safety, they mean everything. Women don't just want a man who can charm them or sweep them off their feet. They want someone who can hold space for their emotions. Someone who doesn't run from discomfort, who doesn't fold under pressure, and who definitely doesn't need a second mother in his partner. They want a partner, not a project, and this is where many younger men unintentionally fall short. They're still figuring things out: finances, emotions, routines, even their identity. Meanwhile, many women, especially those who've been hurt, are done being caregivers. They're not looking to raise a man. They're looking for someone who brings stability, not someone who needs it from them. Let's make this real. Imagine she's dating a guy who constantly forgets plans, mismanages money, and leans on her for emotional or practical support. At first, she might try to be patient. But over time, She feels more like a mother than a lover. And that's when attraction dies. Now flip the script. She meets a man who handles his responsibilities, pays his bills, remembers the small things, doesn't avoid difficult conversations, can cook his own meals, shows up consistently, not just when it's easy. That's not just attractive. That's grounding. That's rare. Age isn't the only factor, but it often brings life lessons: failure, recovery, responsibility. Older men have usually lived alone, handled stress, been their own emotional anchor. That kind of resilience doesn't just show, it radiates. Here's the deeper psychological truth: women are biologically wired to be selective. They're the gatekeepers of reproduction. So their brain scans for signs of stability, protection, and emotional intelligence. A man who's already built himself feels safer, more dependable, than a man still chasing direction. And here's the twist: most men miss. Maturity isn't about being serious 24/7. It's about being able to handle joy and adversity without collapsing. You can still be playful, flirtatious, light-hearted. But when life gets real, you don't disappear. You show up. And that's rare, and rare is irresistible. Coming up next, we go even deeper into the third, and possibly most primal, reason women are drawn to older, grounded men. It's about security, but not just the financial kind. We're talking about emotional, psychological, and physical safety, the kind that touches a woman's deepest instincts. Let's unpack it. We've covered clarity, how older men tend to know exactly what they want. We've talked about maturity, how real responsibility becomes attraction. Now we dive into something deeper, security. It's more than income. It's the feeling that she's safe, in her heart, in her mind, and in your presence. Yes, financial stability matters. But not because she's a gold digger. Money signals predictability. It says, I've built something. I can provide. I don't fold under pressure. And that matters, even to women who are successful in their own right. Remember the number one reason couples divorce? Financial stress. So when she meets a man who's already established a rhythm, a life, a future, her nervous system relaxes. It's not about yachts or designer bags. It's about peace of mind, and peace is the new sexy. She doesn't want to raise a grown man. She wants a partner who can carry life's weight beside her, not someone she has to carry through it. Let's go deeper. What women crave more than money is emotional security, the kind that doesn't flinch when things get messy. A man who doesn't gaslight her feelings or shut down during conflict. A man who doesn't vanish when intimacy gets real. She wants a man who knows how to hold her, not just with his arms, but with his presence, who listens without always trying to fix, who can sit in the storm of her emotions without falling apart. That's rare, and that's powerful. This is where older men often have the edge. They've made mistakes. They've lost. They've loved, and somewhere along the way, they learned, often the hard way, how to stay grounded in the fire. They don't panic at the first crack in the foundation. They've weathered storms. Now they can offer shelter. That's not just attractive, it's magnetic. That's the power of psychological safety. And here's what most men miss: women test you, not to manipulate, but to feel safe. She watches how you handle pressure, how you treat people who can't offer you anything, whether your actions align with your words. These aren't games. They're instinctive vetting systems, hardwired into her psychology, because her heart, her safety, maybe even her future, are at stake. Older men tend to pass more of these tests, not because they're flawless, but because they've been forged in the fire and survived. True masculinity isn't just logical, it's felt that it's somatic. It calms her nervous system. It lets her exhale. She no longer has to be in control. She doesn't have to lead. She can finally relax into her softness. Because you're solid. And when that happens, attraction doesn't need to be chased. It's activated. So let's recap. Older men often bring clarity, emotional maturity, and that deep, layered sense of security that today's world rarely offers. But there's one final truth, and it's not about age. It's about energy. The real reason women are drawn to older men, it's not the years, that it's the masculine energy they radiate. Something younger men are still learning to embody. Let's step into the final and most important piece of the puzzle. What is masculine energy, really? It's a buzzword now, floating around podcasts, TikToks, and Instagram reels, but underneath the hype lies a timeless truth that in every romantic dynamic, there's polarity, a magnetic dance between masculine and feminine. Feminine energy is fluid, emotional, expressive, alive. Masculine energy is grounded, structured, decisive, still. And older men, simply by living through more seasons of life, often embody this effortlessly. That they've been forged by pressure, tested by chaos, and instead of collapsing, they created order. They've failed, rebuilt, and mastered their emotions, not by unleashing them, but by channeling them. That kind of inner control? It creates safety. It gives women the space to soften, to express, to feel, to trust, and to open. When a woman feels that grounded masculine energy in your presence, her nervous system speaks before her words ever do. This is a man I can trust. This is a man I can desire. Confidence without performance. Younger men often confuse masculinity with bravado, thinking it's about being dominant, loud, alpha, or emotionally shut down. But here's the truth, real masculine energy doesn't need to prove anything. It doesn't chase, it doesn't perform, it simply is. Older men often carry this quiet power, not a presence that says, I've been through storms, and I'm still standing. I don't need to impress. I am the impression, choose me or not. I won't shrink either way. That calm, non-needy certainty? It's magnetic, because in a world full of men desperate to be chosen, the man who chooses himself becomes the most attractive force in the room. Emotional leadership. This flips everything. Attraction isn't just about how you feel around her. It's about how she feels about herself in your presence. When you're rooted in mature masculine energy, she feels more beautiful, more safe, more alive. That's emotional leadership. Not about controlling her, but mastering yourself. And paradoxically, the more grounded you are, the more feminine she becomes. That is the real reason so many women are drawn to older men. So, let me ask you, are you showing up as a boy or as a man? Are you reacting to life, or shaping it? Are you chasing validation, or offering value? Because age isn't the real divider. Energy is. You can be 24 and deeply masculine, or 44 and still stuck in boyhood, but when you master your presence, your purpose, your inner peace, you won't just attract women, you'll attract the right women, the ones who crave depth, the ones who respect strength, the ones ready to surrender to real leadership. If this spoke to something deep inside you, if you're starting to realize attraction is an inner game, then hit subscribe right now, because here on our channel, we don't play with gimmicks. We uncover the raw emotional and psychological truth, how women really think and why they truly choose the men they do. Drop a comment, which of these traits do you already own, and which are you still building? Let's rise together. Share this with a brother who's still chasing, so he can start attracting. Like, subscribe. This is just the beginning. I'm Amelia, and this is where men don't settle for attention, they build influence. Until next time, stay sharp, stay silent, stay dangerous.